hello again. Alright, we've got another build video. You all know what it is from the description. So we've got this here, which I'm hoping will, once built, will sit nicely on my far platform. I may even get another one of these because it is a big platform. It's designed a little bit older looking, I guess. A lot of the Metcalfe stuff is, to be fair. But I'm going to put some more modern signs and posters on it and stick a vending machine outside it and things like that. So hopefully that'll modernise it a little bit. Obviously a lot of current modern stations are still using the old buildings. They haven't just knocked them down and built new ones. So we'll go with that. So let's open it up and crack on with the build. Okay, so there's everything out. I'll run through it really quickly. We got instructions. We have more instructions. And then we have all the card pieces. It's interesting. So some posters and things like that. They're all pretty dated, so don't think we'll be using any of them. Roof cappings, windows, and then we've got all the rest of the pieces, which we'll see one by one. Right, let's have a quick read. Right, so all the components are now cut out and they are in the builder's yard there, not very tidily, but they are there. So the first task that the instructions tells us to do is all these support pieces off the grey card, that I think they're supports for the canopy. It says to glue them together in threes. So there's some slightly different ones. There's 3 of those and 12 of those. So we're just going to divide them into threes and then glue them together. Right, that's these all glued together in threes. And it just says then just put them back in the builder's yard. Right, now on to the next step, which is in fact the windows. So I'll get that sorted and I'll come back. So the windows are now cut out and we've just got to stick them behind the corresponding frames, which I've got there, which I shall do now. So that's these ones complete. The next step is to cut out the bay window, and then we've got another aperture there, which and some various bits which all glue together to make the bay, which I will do now. Right. So there's the bay window now complete, and all the other windows together. Right, so the next step is the doorways. I'll get everything together and I'll bring you back. Right, apologies about the light. It is pretty dark in here and I've got all the lights on, but anyway. Right, so we're doing the doors. So it actually says, note there are alternative colour doors on a separate sheet. If you want to fit them, now's the time to do that. But I can't find them unless they're... Oh yeah, okay. They are on there. So that's the one with all the posters and everything like that. Yeah, so alternative colour doors, there's not much of an option really. So there's your 2 options. So it's not a huge difference. I was hoping they'd be like, I don't know, greens or something like that. But I'll stick with that, I think. So we got the green ones, the blue ones and the pink ones. Those frames are slightly different sizes, so you put them on top of each other and they basically sit like that, and it gives a 3D effect. Well, not a 3D effect, it is 3D. You know what I mean. So you just glue them all together, and then that's it. Right, so there's the 3 doors now made. It just says put them back in your builder's yard and you'll need them later on. Right, next bit is the inner back wall, which is some of these bits. So let's work it out. Right, so that fits behind there, and the instructions actually say if you're fitting any of the posters from that sheet there, stick them on there now, because it's easier to do now than it is later on, but I don't really like any of them, so I'm not going to use them. So, but anyway, I'm just going to whack some glue on there and then stick that on. Right, so that bit's done. So again, we put that to one side and we move on to the next, which is fit walls to the base card. Right, so that's the wall there, and that's the base card, and it kind of shows that it sits kind of like that. So we need to fold that tab back first of all and glue it. The glue's getting a bit old. Right, so it pretty much says that we just glue along the edge and then stick that in. So it's not ideal, but okay. So let's have a go at that. Right, while that's setting, we can probably do some of the doors. So we can fit the green one in that gap there, and it fits flush to the corner, so that's alright, we can glue that. Running out of glue. Right, so we can also fit some of these windows. So, okay, so that one works. That one works. Oops. Again, I really do apologise for the light and the lack of being able to see very clearly. Right, so we can fold and fit the front wall. The front and inner walls fold around so that the ends of the walls fit up against the inside of the back wall. There's a small tab on the base of the wall that sits in the triangular hole. Right, so that folds around like that. It basically goes like that. So we need a bit of glue along this base, maybe. Yeah, because it's flush. And then along the bottom of there. Right, so right, that's that. Right, I think we'll, what's the time? Okay, I think we'll leave it at that, and I'm going to go and cook dinner. Right, so now we're going to put this other gable end on the other end of the main structure. So it goes on the same sort of way. See, we've got a little tab there, so that goes in there, and then we just sort of fold it around, put some little dabs of glue, and then hold it in place and glue it like that. I will glue that now. So then we've got these back wall spacers, and we just got to glue them one either side, just in there. Alright, so now we've got those glued in place, as we can see there. There's another one this other side. I kind of jumped a step. We've got to fit the remaining doors and windows into these bits here. So obviously that one goes in there, and you can actually have these doors open or closed or whatever. Then we've got another one in there, and then we've got the windows in these gaps here. We've got 2 of these inner gable walls, and we've got 4 of these card pieces. So we're going to glue 2 card pieces and 1 of the inner gable wall pieces. Right, while we're waiting for these bits to dry, glue, and the next step is to fit this piece that we glued together earlier, and that fits in that little slot there up against those little spacers that we fitted just now. So we'll do that now. Right, so that's that centre piece fitted in there. Once the glue's dried on these are going to glue to the end of that piece there on both ends. So we've got 2 of these. Right, so I've glued those to the end. Excuse the pegs. I'll put that to one side, because the next step is to use these bits here. So it looks like we are folding this around. Right, so that bit folds around and forms like a U shape, like so. And then some of these supports we made earlier on just sit inside it, and then we glue all that together. So we got a couple of those to do, so I'll do those and I'll show you when they're done. Right, the next step is to fit all of these pieces here in place, and they're clearly labelled what goes where and things like that. So So I've placed all the bits in there in the right places, so I'm just going to glue them in now. Notice we've got a couple of them left over, which will probably be explained on the next page, I'm guessing. So I'll glue these on. Right, so there's those all glued on. Now I'm in a bit of a position where I'm stuck now, because the next stage is putting the roof on, which goes on something like that. But I'm not really sure what to do with the rooms, because I had quite big regrets after the doing the large station building, that I hadn't like sort of decorated the rooms and things like that and put things in there. If I put the roof on now, I'm stuck with that. I mean, it's going to be stuck out on a platform, so I suppose it's probably not going to hurt too much. I'll probably always pry the roof off if I have to. So I'll have a go, but I mean, according to the instructions, it says fitting the roof is self-explanatory, but you may find it a little tight against the walls. I've kind of got the opposite. Mine's actually really loose, so that's not an issue. But when it's glued in and these ends are pushed in, it'll fit snug. Right, the roof is now gluing, so our next step is to move on to instruction sheet 2, which starts with this piece here. So what it says is all the components by cutting along the lines marked on the instructions as dotted lines. Okay, so I'm not going to show you the instructions, but it basically shows you some lines and things that you can cut along to cut them out, which I'll do now and I'll come back. Right, so I've got a slight issue on it, it's a bit dark, but these are not supposed to be loose like that. Basically what we're supposed to be able to do is fold these up at right angles, like so. But obviously they've come detached. But that's right, I can glue it. So I'm going to carry on and glue that together and go from there. Alright, so it has been a couple of days since I was able to do anything more on this. Although it's fabulously edited, I'm sure you all think this is just over a half-hour period. It's actually over about a week or so. So, what have I been doing? Right, well, I've kind of jumped ahead a little bit and started making that piece, which is like a canopy support. I showed you earlier, didn't I? So all I've done is stuck the legs on there and stuck these little covers. It's hard to see probably, but they just wrap around the legs. Right, so that's gluing now with my trusty pegs holding it on. The next step is to fit gantry to the building. The two end tabs fit into two slots in the gable wall. Push them in as far as they'll go. Right, so here's my building, and here's the slots that we're talking about. Is that a bit bright? Down a bit. Yeah, so we've got these slots here. So what will happen is, see, those will go into there and then we'll glue it. Okay, so let's have a look what that looks like. So that's now gluing just off camera. The next step is to fit these pieces here. Now they kind of sit on top of the canopy, which I'll get in shot when the glue dries. But I will put them in place and then I'll show you what it's like in a minute. Right, so we can see where I've glued these canopy supports on. Now the next step is to take these two canopy ends, so canopy end A and B, and then we glue them together so that they sit something like that, I believe. I will double check the instructions before I do it, and that sits somewhere at the end, I think. It sits actually on the end. I'll have a read. Right, so this was two pink pieces of card, and you glue them together so the pink faces are glued together. So you're leaving this little pink bit here, and where that sits, it's hard for me to show you here, but it basically sits just on the end there, and the pink section fits, sort of slots over the end. So it sits kind of like that. Just glue it up. Right, so the instructions read to fit the plain grey roof directly onto the beams, making sure the beam ends on this part of the canopy are flush to the edges of the roof. So this is the grey part, so that just sits kind of like that, and we tuck it underneath the roof overhang. And then the printed roof, it says fit onto the grey roof and put plenty of glue on the grey card and up to the edges to avoid curling. The top roof should overhang all edges, so again that sort of fits underneath the overhang, kind of like that, and then it does just overhang all the edges ever so slightly. So, right, so let's glue the grey one on first. So there we go, the roof is gluing, or the canopy is gluing. Excuse the large extreme use of pegs, but it's just the easiest way. Right, what's next? Right, we are going to fit capstone strips to the tops of the gable walls, overhang equally on each side. So that is these pieces here. Have a fold in the middle and they fit just on there, one on each end. So that's easy enough to do now. So the little bay window that we made earlier on, I actually put together wrong, so I've just had to cut a piece off and re-glue it, so that's just gluing now. So that just sits on the end there, and then there's this little canopy roof which just kind of glues on there as well. So the other thing I've done is we've got some of these edging pieces. Now there's a few like this, I think there's 4 in total, a tiny little one, and there's that one, and there's a big long one. They've got like a lip that needs to fold over and glue, it's just for extra strength, so those are gluing now as well. Alright, so that's gluing on there. Apologies I can't move it in a better position, the roof's still gluing. So before we fit this little roof bit here, we've got this here, bay window roof support. Now that just fits straight in there and sits kind of like that. And then that gives this something to sit against. Right, so now it's time to fit some of these decorative pieces. So they just glue on kind of like that. So I'll do that one first, and then we got this big long one to go all the way along the front, and then some other little bits for other ends and things like that. Right, it's just getting a bit dark now, but hopefully you can just about see. So I have added this piece all the way along the top, and this piece in here, and also these little support brackets, which you can just about see. Now, one negative thing I've found is, if you can just about see up there, see there's still got a bit of pink visible, so I'm going to have to paint over that. And even in the end bit there, it's quite hard to see. So, but that's alright, I can do that. Right, one more piece to fit. Hopefully that will be strong enough to sit like that. So just this piece is going to go on there like that. Right, and that is pretty much it, apart from we have some ridge tiles. So I'll just cut some of these out. Right, there we have it. Or the actual construction of it is finished. So there'll still be some little bits of detailing here and there and some tidying up, but other than that it is done. So I'll just go plonk it up on the layout and see what it looks like. There we go, positioned on the layout. The platform could probably do with being a little bit wider because it doesn't leave a huge gap around the back, but I think we'll manage alright. And the canopy just overlaps the edge of the platform, which is fine, I think. Excuse the wobbly hands. A little bit more light up here so you can actually see it a little bit better. I will put some modern signs and things like that on here. But yeah, I think it looks alright. If I pan back a little bit, so with the main station building there, Here's the heater. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, I won't leave it up here because it's pretty cold and there's still bits of glue drying on it. I've literally just finished making it. So, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. If you would like to see the previous video, click the top link. If you would like to subscribe, go ahead and click the bottom link. Thanks for watching.